Good afternoon, everyone. So, today I am going to start another new chapter of organizational dynamics, that is communication. So, let us discuss what is the meaning of that communication. So, communication is a process of exchanging informations, ideas, feelings, thoughts, or experience by speaking or by writing or by using any other media. So, any other medium means it may be it may be with the help of some tone, it may be some body posture, it may be some body gesture, etc. In other sense, we can say that communication is a process of transferring information from one person to another person, or from one place to another place, or from one group to another group. As I said, communication means transfer of information from one person to another person. So, one person to another person means in the organization we can find the employees, they are sharing their informations with their employees, right? So, the group, they are also sharing their informations with another groups. The employers, they are also sharing their informations with the employers, with the employees, with the workers. Similarly, the workers, they are also sharing their informations with the workers, with the employees, with the employers, etc. So, communication is a process of exchanging information between two or more parties. That means in communication, at least we can find two number of people, right? So, first person is called as a sender, and the second person is called as a receiver, right? So, who is a sender? So, sender is a person who sends the message, and receiver is the another person who receives that message. So in the organization, the sender or the employer sends the message to the receiver, like the employees, and the employee, they are also sending that information to the workers, right? So in the communication, we can find at least or minimum two number of people are required. So let us discuss what are the definition of communication. So communication is a process of transferring thoughts, informations, emotions, and ideas through gestures, voice, symbols, signs, and expression from one person to another person, right? So it means it is a process of transferring our thoughts or our ideas or our informations or our emotions through gestures. Through gesture means through the body language, right? Or through the voice, or through the symbols, right? Through the different symbols, or through the different signs or expression from one person to another person. So in the communication, as I said, we can find two persons are required. So the first person is sender, means who sent the message, and the second person is the receiver, the person who received the message. So here the sender sent that message to the receiver through a channel, or in other sense we can say that the receiver received the message which is sent by the sender through the channel. In other sense, we can say that it is a process of communication, refers to the transmission or passage informations or message from the sender through a selected channel to the receiver, overcoming the barriers that affect its pace, right? So in other sense, we can say that it refers to the transmission of information, or transmission of or transfer of message from the sender to the receiver through some selected channels, right? So through that channels, the receiver will receive the message. So here the sender selects some channels, because in the communication we can find some barriers. So to overcome that barriers, the sender picks some channels to send the message to the receiver. Then in short, we can say that it is a process by which the people create and share information with one another in order to reach common understanding, right? Yes, it is a process where the people or the individual person, they will create the information, or they will share the information or idea with one another, means the other people. It may be a individual person, or it may be a group of persons, in order to reach the common understanding. Means through communication, the sender wants to share the informations or the understanding, share the understanding with the receivers. So lastly, we can say that It is the transfer of information from the sender to the receiver with the reference with the information being understood by the receiver. So through communication, the sender sends the message in such a way that the receiver will receive the same message or same understanding which is sent by the sender. So in this picture you can find the first person is a sender who sends the message, and the receiver is another person who receives the message. So after receiving the message from the sender, the receiver will give the feedback. So feedback means this is the whether the receiver received the exact message which is sent by the sender or not. Then come to the next slide, that is the characteristics of communication. So there are various characteristics of communication. So let us discuss all the characteristics one by one. The first characteristics of communication is involves at least two persons, right? As earlier I have said that yes, communication involves at least two persons. So at least two person means minimum two number of people are required for communication. So one person is sender, means the person who sends the message. The second person is the receiver, means the person who receive the message. So in communication we can find minimum two number of people are required, but maximum is unlimited, right? Maximum is unlimited. So unlimited people, they can share the informations or feelings or ideas or emotions or experience. So that's why we can say that in communication we can find at least two number of people. Then second one is exchange of idea. Yes, according to your definition, communication means sharing of informations or sharing of ideas, right? Or we can say that it is a process of exchanging the informations or ideas or feelings or emotions, right? Where the sender exchanges his feelings or idea or emotions with the receiver. Then the third characteristic of communication is message, right? Message is a must, right? Yes. So in the communication, message is a must. So message is required. So if there is no message, then there is no exchange of information or there is no exchange of idea, because the sender send the message. The sender gives the information to the receiver through the message, right? So that message may be one idea, the message may be one feeling, the message may be one experience, etc., right? So through that message the sender sends the message to the receiver. So that's why we can say that message is a must. Then next one is mutual understanding, right? Yes. So here we can find the mutual understanding between the sender and receiver, because in communication the sender send the message to the receiver and the receiver receive the message from the sender. So here the sender send the message and the receiver receive the message, but in between we can find a channel, right? We can find a channel. So through that channel the sender send the message and the receiver receive the message. So that's why there must be a good understanding or mutual understanding between the sender and receiver. So see, if there is no mutual understanding between sender and receiver, then it will not possible for the sender to send any message to the receiver, because if there is no mutual understanding, then whatever the sender will send, the receiver will not get the same message, right? So that's why mutual understanding is required. Then next one is it may be oral or it may be gestural or it may be written, right? So see, let us discuss what is oral communication. So oral communication means when that message or information will be in the verbal form, right? Or we can say that a face-to-face discussion, right? When the sender send any message through verbally, right? Or we can say that through the help of mouth, then we can say that that is oral communication. But second one is written communication. Written communication is different from oral communication. So written communications are those communications which are made in the written form. Then the last one is your gestural communication. So gestural communication means when the sender will send any message with the help of his body language, right? It may be a gesture, it may be a posture, it may be a symbol, it may be a link, or it may be a sign, etc., right? So when the sender is sending any message to the receiver through his body language, then we can say that that is gestural communication. The next one is two-way process. Yes, definitely we can say that communication is a two-way process. So two-way process means the communication should flow from top to bottom, and similarly the communication also flows from bottom to top. If we can add this thing in the organizational hierarchy, then we can say that the communication from top level moves to the middle level, then middle level to the lower level, then lower level to middle level, and middle level to top level of management, right? So that's why we can say that communication is a two-way process, means the sender sends the message to the receiver. After receiving the information, the receiver also sends some message or sends some feedback to the sender, and that feedback is known as your message, or that feedback is known as your information. The next one is it may be formal or it may be informal, right? Yes. So communications are formal, communication are also informal. So let us discuss what is formal communication. So formal communication is one type of communication where we can find certain rules and regulations, or the communication which flows in the organizational hierarchy, that is known as your formal communication, right? In the formal, already I have said when the information flows from top to bottom, then bottom to low, bottom to top to middle, middle to lower, then we can say that this is formal communication. Then the second one is informal communication. What is informal communication? Now, informal communication is one type of communication which doesn't follows any organizational structure, right? Which doesn't follow any organizational structure, as well as which doesn't follow any rules and regulations. So that is known as your informal communication. Then next or the last characteristic of communication is it flows up and down, as also from side to side. Yes. So see, communications are flows from up and down. Up and down means top level to lower level, and it also flows from down to top, right? So top level to lower level, then lower level to top level, or in other sense we can say that the communication flows from superior to subordinate, or subordinate to superior, also from side to side. Yes, sometimes the communication also flows from side to side, means some same level employees in the organization, the employees, they will share their information with the employer. If they will share their information with the employer, then we can say that that is upward communication. But if one employee, if the employees are sharing their information with the workers, then we can say that that is downward communication, because employees to workers, right? But if the employees are sharing their information with other employees who are existing in the organization, then we can say that that is side to side, right? So this is all about the characteristics of communication. Then next we'll go to the next slide, that is process of communication. So process of communication is a very important part of communication, right? So process of communication means how the communication flows from sender to receiver, right? Sender to receiver means sender send the message and the receiver receive the message. So what are the rest things are available in the process of communication, right? So in the process of communication, the first one is sender, right? So the first one is your sender. So sender is a person who sends the message. Then the second step, or the second variable or second element is message. Yes. Then message will be must, right? So after message, then the third element or the third process is encoding, right? Then after encoding, then there is a channel, right? So channel means media through which the sender send the message or the receiver receive the message. So after channel, then next one is your receiver. Next one is your receiver. Then the receiver receive the message. So after receiving the message, then we can find the message of decoding, right? So again, the receiver will decode the message, and finally the receiver will give the feedback, means whether the receiver will receive the exact message which is sent by the sender or not. So this is all about the different elements of communication. So let us discuss all the elements thoroughly one by one. So the first step or the first element of communication is sender, right? So who is a sender, right? So yes, so sender is a person who initiates the communication and conveys its ideas to the receiver. Yes, so sender is a person who initiates the communication, or sender is a person who finds the information, or who finds the idea, or who creates the idea, or the person who creates the emotions, or the person who initiates the emotion and conveys its ideas to the receiver. And convey means transfer his idea or information or feelings to the receiver. So after sender, then the second step or the second element is message. Yes, right. So see, the communication, and according to the characteristic of communication, message is a must, right? Yes, if there is no message, then there is no existence of communication, because through communication the sender sends any message to the receiver, or the sender sends any informations or idea or emotion. So all the idea, emotions, or we can idea, emotions, right, these are known as your message, right? So the idea, the information, view, then fact, feelings, etc., that are generated by the sender. Yes, as I said, message includes ideas, information, view, then facts, feelings, etc., that are generated by the sender and is then intended to be communicated further, right? So then that information is communicated further with the receiver. Then the third element of communication or process of communication is encoding, right? What is encoding? Encoding is a process or a method of convert the message into communication symbols like pictures, words, or gestures, right? Yes, so through encoding process, the sender actually convert the message into different pictures or different words or different gestures. So after encoding, then the next one is your channel, right? So what is channel? So channel means the manner or the media in which the encoded message is transmitted, right? So channel means it a manner or it is a media through which the encoded message is transmitted, or the encoded message is transferred, right? So the message may be transmitted orally or written, right? So that information may be in oral form or in written form. So then the information is transferred to the receiver. Then next one is decoding, right? What is decoding? Now decoding means the opposite, it is the opposite of encoding, right? So decoding is the opposite of decoding. So in case of encoding, the message is converted into different into different elements like pictures, words, or gestures. But in decoding is just opposite of encoding. So it is the conversion of the encoded syllabus is done by the receiver. So here the receiver convert that encoding or encoded word into some message or information. The next one is receiver. So receiver, as you know, receiver is a person who receives the message. Yes, the last person in the channel. So the last person in the communication channel is receiver. So who finally receives the message from the sender and takes an action as per the requirements. Means finally, after decoding, finally the receiver receives the message which is sent by the sender. Then next one is your feedback. So what is feedback? Now feedback involves all the actions of the receivers indicating that he received and understood the message by the sender. Yes, it is one of the most important element of process of communication, feedback. So feedback is the actions, or we can say that the reactions of the receiver. So whether whether the receiver received the exact message or the same message which is sent by the sender or not. So this is all about the process of communication. So after the process of communication, the next one is modes, or we can say that types of communication. So the types of communication is broadly classified into three parts. First one is on the basis of organizational structure. Second one is on the basis of flow or direction. And the last one is on the basis of media used or expression. So on the basis of organizational structure, it is again classified into two parts. First is the formal communication and second is the informal communication. On the basis of flow or direction, it is classified into three parts. First one is your downward communication, second one is the upward communication, and last one is your horizontal communication. But on the basis of media expression, media use or expression, it is classified into three parts, that is oral communication, written communication, and gestural communication. So let us discuss all the different types of communication one by one. So first one is on the basis of organizational structure. As you, on the basis of organizational structure, it is classified into two parts. First one is your formal communication and second one is your informal communication. So what is formal communication? So formal communication, as I said, the communication which flows in the organizational hierarchy, right? So the informations or ideas or feelings which are flows from top level to lower level or lower level to top level, means the people they are using the organizational hierarchy, that is known as your formal communication. In formal communication, we can also find no rules and regulations. Yes, it refers to the flow of an official information through proper predefined channels and routes, right? So the flow of information is controlled and needs deliberately effort to be properly communicated. So all the information that should be the flow should be that information should be flow and controlled by the management. What are the examples of formal communication? First one is your business letter, then reports, then orders, then newsletters, then official announcement, then performance review, then company policies, etc. So these are the formal communication. Then next one is what is informal communication. So informal communications are those communications which doesn't follow certain rules and regulations. Without any rules and regulations, the sender can convey the message to the receiver, and the receiver can also convey the reply of that message to the sender, right? So what is informal communication? This type of communication is based on personal relationship with someone and for some other reason, that is free from all kind of organizational formalities and corporate rules, right? Yes, already I have said that informal communications are those communication which doesn't follows any rules and regulations. So that group or that communication group is formed only due to personal relationship, right? So for example of that organization, for example of informal communication, first one is your face-to-face communication. Yes, sometimes we can find some face-to-face communication between the sender and receiver. Then second one is a telephonic conversation, right? Yes, we can also sometimes find telephonic conversation between the sender and receiver. Then next one is social media. Yes, right now we can find social media plays a very important role to share the informations. Then interactions, then interaction among the employees, and the next one is text message. Yes, text message is also another form of another form of informal communication, and copy and breaks, right? So this is all about the informal organization, so informal communication. So here it is coming under the basis of organizational structure. Then the second one is on the basis of flow or direction. So on the basis of flow or direction, it is classified into three parts. First is your downward communication, second one is your upward communication, and last one is your horizontal communication. So let us discuss all the basis of communication one by one. First one is downward communication. So see this picture. In this picture, we can find three levels. So first is the top level, then middle level, and third one is your lower level. So according to downward communication, as its name suggests, down means it will flow from top to down, right? So here the information flows from highest level employees to the lowest level employees. Yes, here the information will flow from top to bottom, means the high level people or the high level employee, they will send the message or they will flow the information to the lower level management or lower level people. For example includes managers sharing policies, rules, and procedures. Yes, in the organization we can find managers are sharing the policies, the rules, and the procedures of the organization. Right. In that sense, we can say that in downward communication, the communication flows from top to bottom and it follows certain rules and regulations. Then next one is your upward communication. So upward communication means when the see this picture, so it is just the opposite, or we can say that the reverse of upward communication. So downward communications, upward communications are those communications which flows from lower level to higher level. Okay, or we can say that bottom level to top level. For example, our example includes employees sharing information regarding performance report, grievances, project quotas, budget estimates, and suggestions for improvement. Right here, the informations are flows from down to top, right? So here the employee sharing the performance report, right? What is the performance report of each and every employee? Then grievances, if the employees have some grievances, then they will share that grievances with the management. Then project proposal, if there is any project proposal is available, then the lower level people can share the project proposal approval with the top level management. Then next to the budget estimate, yes, if there is any budget estimate is there, then the lower level people will take permission from the top level people. And suggestions for improvement, and if there is any improvement is required, then they will suggest for that, right? So see in this picture, the information flows from bottom to top. Then last one is horizontal communication. So horizontal communication means when the information flows between employer or between division on the same level, right? When the information will flow between the same level, right? Between the same level of employees, then we can say that that is horizontal, right? For example, it includes the employees requesting for support, then coordinating activities and working together on problems. So these are the examples of horizontal communication. Then move to the next. Next one is on the basis of media used or on the basis of expression. So on the basis of media use or expression, it is classified into three parts. First one is oral communication, second one is your written communication, and third one is your gestural communication. So first one is your oral communication. So what is oral communication? So oral communication is not otherwise known as a verbal communication. So verbal communication means when the communication or when the sender sends any message or information to the receiver only by using some word, right? So that is known as your verbal communication, right? So here we can say that it is a process of sharing the informations or ideas through spoken words, right? So when the sender will send any message to the receiver only through spoken of words, then we can say that that is oral communication. For example, lecturers, right? Yes, right now I'm taking our class, so this is one type of communication because I'm sharing the informations with people by spoken of words. Then GD means group discussion. In the group discussion, we can also find oral communication. Then speeches, yes, at the time of speech, speaker will speak the things to the audience. Then meetings, right? In the meetings, yes, we can sometimes in the meeting we can find oral communication or we can say that verbal communication. Then presentation is also another important element of or important example of oral communication. Then casual phone conversation, yes, sometimes we can make conversation casual with our friends, right? We can say that that casual call is known as your phone conversation. Then and dinner table conversation, sometimes in the dinner table we can find some conversation among the family members or among the employees, among the workers, right? Or among the employers also, right? At that time if we can find any communication, then we can say that that is oral communication. So see, then next one is your written communication, right? So what is written communication? So written communication is the exchange of information through written words such as emails, letters, faxes, etc., right? Yes, so see, if the sender will send the message or information to the receiver in the written form, then we can say that that is written communication, right? So see, what are the examples, right? Emails, yes, if you're giving any emails, it is in the written form. Then letters, yes, if you are providing letters, then that is in the written form. Then faxes, it is also in written form. Then the next one is gestural communication, right? So gestural communications are otherwise known as your non-verbal communication, right? So non-verbal communication, so here we can find the sender send the message by using the body movements, or here the sender will convey the message through the movement of its body parts, right? So it also non-verbal communication also known as body language. Yes, non-verbal communication is always known as body language because sometimes we can share our message or information through the body language. So here I have given the picture. So from that picture you can find what are the different gestures or postures of non-verbal communication, right? So sometimes we can also share the informations by using some facial expression, right? By using some facial expression, then tone, or we can say the voice, or by body posture and gestures to convey the information, right? So here we can find some people, they are using their body language to send their message to the sender. Then these are all about the different types of communication. So after that we can say that what are the directions of communication, right? So direction of communication is classified into three parts. First one is your downward communication, then upward communication, and last one is your lateral communication, right? What is the direction? Direction means what is the flow of communication, right? So in the what is the flow of communication in the organization? Whether that flow of communication is downward means top level to lower level, whether the communication flows from bottom to top, or we can say the down to top, that is upward communication. Then lateral communication is whether the communication is flows in the same level, right? Same level, or we can say that among the peers, or if the manager is sharing any information with the managers, then we can say that that is lateral communication, right? So what is the meaning of that downward communication? So communication that flows from one level of group or one organization to a lower level, right? So when the communication flows from one level of a group means top level, right, or the middle level to the lower level, then that is known as your down level. So downward communication means top to bottom. Then upward communication, so upward communication means that flows from down to top, or we can say that lower level to top level, then that is known as your upward communication. Then the last one is your lateral communication. So lateral communication is when the communication that takes place in the same members or the same level of employees or same level of employers, then we can say that that is lateral communication. Then what are the advantages of downward, upward and lateral communication? The first advantage of the downward communication is it increases employee commitment with a proper reason of explanation, right? Yes, it is downward communication, so that's why it increases the employee's commitment with a proper reason of explanation. Then secondly, upward communication. So upward communication, it helps in awareness and control of the employees by managers, right? Yes, here in case of upward communication, if any person is not sharing in case of upward communication, it has the awareness and control of the employees by the managers. So here the managers are controlled by here the employees are controlled by the managers, because it is upward communication. Whenever the employees will share any information, the manager cannot accept all the information, right? So the manager will examine the information, and if the information is required for the organization, then the manager will accept it. Then according to lateral communication, it saves time and helps in coordination. Yes, so in lateral communication it saves times, right? Obviously it saves time because the communication is flows in the same level of management, so that's why it saves time, as well as we can find more coordination. Then next one is what are the disadvantages. Disadvantages is the one way nature makes it difficult to seek advice which might be helpful for innovation, right? What are the disadvantages? It is a one way, right? It is a one way, right? So that's why sometimes, right, the one way nature makes it difficult to seek advice, right? So here we cannot find any advice because it's downward communication, and top level share the information with the lower level. Then since responsibilities have increased, this communication is getting difficult since managers get distracted, right? So see, it is also another disadvantages. But in case of lateral communication, it can result in conflict, especially when certain action are taken without the manager's knowledge, right? So here we can find if there is any conflict. If there is any conflict, then it will create problem. So without sharing that thing with the managers, you cannot take the decisions. The next one is effectiveness ways, right? So what are the effectiveness ways for downward communication? Now the manager should communicate the way behind the decisions. Then it should solicit the communication from the employees that are supervised. Then upward communication, it reduce uncertainty. Okay, yes, it reduce uncertainty because all the lower level people, they cannot share all the information with the top level, right? Then communicate in important lines, that paragraphs, right? So here they'll share the important communications with the top level. Then try to set actionable agenda and try to make the actionable agenda for the sender as well as receiver. Then lateral communication, at times formally sanctions to facilitate action. Yes, so the organization will give sanctions or facilitate the sanctions for lateral communication, right? So this is all about the direction of communication. After direction, the next one will discuss what are the importance of communication, right? So normally the communication plays a very vital role or important role in an organization, right? So let us discuss what are the importance of communication, right? So the first importance of communication is basis of decision making and planning, right? Yes. So basis of decision making and planning. So what is planning and what is decision making? Planning means thinking before doing any work or determining in advance what to do, how to do, where to do, and who is going to do it. And decision making means it is a process of choosing the best solution or the best alternative among the available alternatives. So through the communication, the organization can take decisions as well as makes planning for growth and diversification. Then next one is just smooth and efficient working of an organization. Yes, so communication actually provides smooth and efficient working conditions in the organization, because through communication the superior will share the information with the subordinates, and at the same time the subordinate also shares all the informations, all the ideas with the superior, right? Or we can say that with the superior. So that's how we can find smooth functioning and efficient working of an organization. So communication actually provides smooth and efficient working conditions to all the people who are working in an organization. The next one is it facilitates coordination. So coordination means one, now we can say that unity, or we can say that bonding, right? So it facilitates coordination. Yes, definitely your communication facilitates coordination, because through communication the sender send the message and the receiver also receive the message. So that's why it facilitates coordination. Then promotes cooperation and industrial peace. Yes, definitely. So the communication promotes or increases cooperation or unity among the members, right? So cooperation and industrial peace. Industrial peace means what? We can say that industrial harmony, right? So industrial harmony means what? Where we can find there is no disturbances, there is no misunderstanding in the industry, right? So see, your communication promotes cooperation and industrial peace, right? So industrial peace is possible if there is if we can find good relationship among all the people who are working in an organization, right? So right now we cannot good relationship among all the people who are working in an organization. So through communication the organization try to share each and every information to each and every persons. Then next one is effective control, right? Yes, then the next importance of communication is effective control, right? So through communication the manager or the superior send the message to the receiver or to the subordinate. So from that the leader or the manager can effectively control the employees. Then job satisfaction. So what is job satisfaction? Job satisfaction is nothing but a process of feelings that whether you are satisfied or whether you are happy with your job or not, right? So see, if in an organization you can find good working environment, if you can find the senior or the your superior is sharing information with the subordinates, the subordinates have some rights or subordinates are also sharing the information with the superior, at that case more we can find more job satisfaction. The next one is it increases productivity and reduces cost, right? So this is the last importance of communication. Yes, so communication, it increases the productivity, right? Yes, if it increases the productivity means in case of communication or through the communication, all the departments or all the hierarchy, they will share their each and every information with the other members. So that's why we can say that it increases productivity as well as reduces cost. Then the next one is what are the different modes of interpersonal communication. So the different modes of interpersonal communication, that is oral communication, written communication and non-verbal communication. Already I have discussed what is oral communication, written communication and non-verbal communication. In short, we can say that oral communication means where the communication, when the information will be transferred through spoken of words, that is oral communication. Then written communication means when the information or when will be any ideas or information will be shared in the written form, then that is known as written communication. Then non-verbal communication means when the sender will send the message or when the sender wants to share any information to the receiver, then at that time the sender will use his body language, or we can say that the use of some tones, then postures, gestures, etc. Then the next one is organizational communication. So according to organizational point of view, it is classified into two parts. First is formal, second is informal, right? So for what is formal organization? Already I have discussed. I am repeating the sentence. Formal organization is one type of organization where we can find organizational hierarchy as well as we can find certain communication. That communication involves certain rules and regulations. Then next one is the informal communication. What is informal communication? The informal communication is such type of communication which doesn't follow any rules and regulations, right? So informal communications are not difficult. Then next one is what are the different forms of electronic communication, right? So these are the different forms of electronic communication. First is the emails, then second electronic communication is voice calls, third one is your instant text message, then social networking, and last one is your video conferencing. So let us discuss all the forms of electronic communication one by one. So first one is emails, right? So emails are the old source exchange of information that is used to send and receive messages, right? Reports and other components of official information. So through emails, the sender sends the message and the receiver receives the message as well as reports. So the message is in the email can be easily paid, stored and sent at convenience, right? Yes, all the informations they can be stored or they can be shared. The next one is, however, there is a possibility of misrepresenting the message. Yes, see, this is one disadvantages of email. Sometimes some people will misrepresent your information. It is sometimes it is a time consuming process where the receiver is not too fond of checking mails, right? So see, sometimes it creates or it takes more time. The next one is instant text message, right? So instant text message, this mode of communication also uses electronics media by use of portable devices, right? So in this instant text message, the sender will send the message within a fraction of time. The message, unlike mails, usually get transmissions via employees handle devices, right? Here we can find the message can be sent by the receiver to the sender through through different portable devices. So mails are all the better since large information can get transmitted and not to be saved. Then social networking. In the present situation, we can find the role of social networking in the organization, right? So social networking, like we can say that Google, we can say that Twitter, we can say that WhatsApp, we can say that Facebook, we can say that YouTube, right? So these are the different social networking, right? So here we can say that the rise of social media has fundamentally transformed from the entire process of communication. Then the platforms, like what are the examples of a social network like LinkedIn, Facebook has more than a billion users that are segregated through the different networks like school, companies, and regions. So here we can find the transformation of information. So social networking is more likely to replace the primary mode of communication, that is an email, by developing a in-house social networking groups in the workplace. Then next one is your video conferencing, right? So this is a popular method of communication. So the employees sitting in any corner of the world can connect with the people by the real time. The live video and the audio interaction helps in achieving the effective communication without being agreed physically. So this helps in saving the cost and expenses, right? Is this helps to save the cost as well as experiences. Then next expenses. Then next one is flexible organization and communication flows. What is the flow of communication in the flexible organization, right? So flexible organization is otherwise known as your work from home, right? Flexible organization is otherwise known as your work from home. So the pandemic situation has influenced the organization to shift to a work home model and thus the entire objective comes down to providing flexibility. So here in flexibility organization, the organization provides work from home, right? So the organization policies such as teleworking help to improving the flow of communication such that the employees can easily switch off from office to home, right? So the employees themselves have a navigate these policies in order to preserve their personal needs, right? So how that information will how that communication will be effective, the more flexible hours, right? Yes, if one person is doing work from home, then that person is getting more flexible hours. So see, if one person will come to the office timing is fixed, that is 9 to 6:30. But if one company is allowing for work from home, that person can complete the task with that person can complete that task within the flexible hour. Then less meetings. Yes, in work from home or in flexible organization, we can find less meetings. Then what are the right tools for the right communication? What are the right tools for right communication? First one is your video conferencing, second is your chat-based conferencing, and last one is your long-term shared communication. So these are the different rights tools for communication. Then next one is your information reaches and communication channels. How the information reaches, right? How the information reaches through communication channels. So here you can find some high reaches of communication and some low reaches of communication. So see what are the examples of high reaches communication. First one is your video conferences. So video conferences is one of the most important, or we can say that high reach communication, then face to face conversation. Then the next is your live speeches. Is live speeches, it is also another high channel communication. Then next one is your voice mails, it is also another. Then next one is your online discussion, group discussion, group where then live speech, etc. So These are the different channels of communication where the information reaches from one place to another place, right? So here we can find that information flows from sender to receiver through different channels. It may be video conferences, it may be face to face, it may be telephonic conversation, it may be live speech, it may be online discussion, it may be group discussion, it may be voice mail, or it may be electronic mail, it may be formal reports, or it may be memos, or we can say that's letters. So then next one is your automatic and control processing information, right? So sometimes we can find some information, they are automatically collected and they are automatically processed in the organization. Then next one is we can discuss another important part of communication, that is barriers to communication. Barriers to communication means what are the obstacles, or what are the problems for communication. So let us discuss all the obstacles one by one. So first one is physical barriers, right? Or first barriers to communication is physical barriers. So physical barriers are those barriers which are created due to noise or environment, right? Due to noise and environment. So as I said, barriers means the obstacles to communication. So when the sender sends a message, so the receiver actually not receive the exact message due to some barriers or due to some obstacles, and that obstacles is arises due to some distance, right? So that distance, so physical barriers is otherwise known as a distance barrier. So that distance is creates some noise, or that distance will create some problems, right, for which the receiver cannot receive the exact message. So that is known as your noise and environment. Then the second one is your personal barrier. So personal barriers is always related to one person, right? So one person is what is the perception, or what is the mindset, or what is the judgment, or what is the bias, or what is the attitude, or what is the pressure of an individual person, right? On the basis of that we can find the barriers. If any barriers will arise due to personal judgment, social values, or any biasness or attitude or pressure, then we can say that is personal barriers. So after personal barrier, then next is language barrier, or that is not the linguistic barriers, right? So linguistic barriers actually plays an important role in the organization. So see, we can say that in the organization we can find the congregation of people who are coming from different areas, or who are also coming from different cultures, right? So that's why we can find here, we can find there is differences in language, right? So in the organization we cannot find that all the people are using the same language, right? So we can find the people, they are using different languages, right? So see, so if whenever the sender is sending any message, right, and sending any message through a language, and if the receiver don't have any idea about that language, then the receiver cannot receive the message. So that's why it is advisable to both the sender and receiver that they should send any message in such a language, so that the receiver can receive the message which is sent by the sender. Then next is status barriers. So status barriers is otherwise known as your superior and subordinate barriers, right? So here we can find these barriers due to the status ego. Sometimes the superior sends some limited information to the subordinates due to their status or due to their position. So sometimes the receiver, or we can say that the employees, they are not getting the exact message, or they are not getting all the informations, right? So sometimes that also create barriers. Then barriers due to inadequate attention, right? Yes, sometimes if the receiver will not give sufficient attention to the message of the receiver, then the receiver will not receive the same message. And similarly, if the sender will not give more focus to, or not give more attention to the receiver, then the receiver will not get the exact message. So that is barriers due to inadequate attention. Then premature evaluation. So premature evaluation means what? Now when the receiver will give his opinion or feedback before listening all the message or all the information which is shared by by the sender, then we can say that that is premature evaluation, right? So premature evaluation means before listening all the information or all the idea, if the sender is giving any information or any feedback, then we can say that that is premature evaluation. Then next time, barriers due to lack of trust. Yes, if there is lack of trust between sender and receiver, then definitely it will create problem. Then next one is barriers due to lack of trust is over. Then emotional barriers, right? Sometimes we can find some barriers or obstacles to communication due to fear, due to anxiety, due to anger, or due to past experience, or sometimes we can find that emotional barriers due to ego, right? Due to ego, the sender will not send all the message to the receiver. Then information overloaded. So information overloaded means when either the sender or the receiver is overloaded with lots of information, then at that time the receiver will not receive all the message which is sent by the sender. At the same time, the sender will also not send all the message or all the information to the receiver, because that person is overloaded with lots of information. Then silence. So silence is one of the most important, or we can say that dangerous barriers for communication. So see, as I said, communication means what? Exchange of information, or idea between two or more person. It may be a sender or maybe a receiver. So whenever a sender is sending any message, and if the receiver will become silent, then it is not possible for the receiver to receive the message. And at the same time, if the receiver will sending any message to the sender, and if the sender will become silent, then it is not possible for sharing any information or communication. Then next one is your lying. So lying means what? The misrepresentation of information, right? So sometimes the sender sends one message to the receiver, but due to some barriers, right, or due to some obstacles, or due to some problems, the receiver will not receive the exact message. So that is misrepresentation of information. The next one is your selective perception. So selective perception means, your communication barriers are arises due to the perceptions or due to the judgment of an individual person. So it is educational status, right? So sometimes due to educational status, the people they are not sharing all the information. Then cultural background, due to some cultures or due to some customs or traditions, some organizations or some people they are not sharing the informations. Then desire, sometimes the sender desires not to send any message to the receiver. At that time, we can find some obstacles. Then personality. So personality means what is the mindset of an individual person. So these are the different barriers to communication. The next one is how to overcoming that barriers to communication, right? So first one is your clarity and completeness. So clarity and completeness means what? If the sender and receiver both will maintain a clarity or transparency between them, then we can say that that is clarity and completeness. Then this is cross-cultural communication.